Friends, about 150 years ago, air travel was no less than a dream. In that era, if someone talked about flying in the air, people considered him crazy. But history has witnessed that many inventions that changed the world seemed crazy at first. Be it the airplane made by the Wright brothers or the helicopter invented by Russian scientist Igor Seiko-Russky. Both these inventions are counted among the greatest achievements of man. Because helicopter and airplane are two such means with the help of which the journey of days can be completed in just a few hours. But do you know that the history of making helicopter is not 100 or 200 years old, but its story is 2,400 years old? Yes, this flying bed with rotor blades rotating in the air is the result of many centuries of hard work and imagination. So when and how was the helicopter invented? Which aircraft is better among helicopter and airplane, and when did the first helicopter come to India? We will know in this video. Along with this, we will also see 150-year-old rare footage of old helicopter prototypes. So stay tuned to this interesting video till the end. The history of helicopter starts from China 2,400 years ago. In 400 BC, a toy made of bamboo became very popular among the children of China. This toy was like a clock with two wings attached on the top. Children used to rub this toy in their palm and release it upwards in the air, and as long as the wings of this toy rotated fast, it remained in the air. Then it slowly came down. You will still see this 200-year-old toy being sold in fairs, which is called Firangi. Friends, when you turn the pages of history, you will definitely see one thing, that China was the first to start trade with foreign sultanates. We find its roots in the Silk Route developed by the Han dynasty of China. Through this route, first spices and silk were traded, and then gradually other products also started getting exported, and about 600 years ago, this bamboo toy also left China and reached Europe. Where the great scientist and explorer, yes, Leonardo da Vinci, liked the simple design of this toy, and inspired by it, he made many sketches of flying machines, which included many designs like spiral wing, rotary wing, two wings rotating in opposite directions. But in that era, even the steam engine had not been invented. In such a situation, how to rotate these wings, that was a big question. That is why no scientist liked Leonardo's designs. But they say that necessity is the mother of invention. And in the 1750s, the need arose to lift the weather information device above the ground and send it into the sky. By then, 40 years had passed since the invention of the steam engine. And using it, Russian scientist Mikhail Lomonosov designed a helicopter model to lift this weather information device into the air, in which two propeller blades rotating in opposite directions in the air were fitted on an axis. Although he did not get success in it at that time, but this model became the foundation of the design of the modern helicopter. After Mikhail, for the next 150 years, many scientists tried to build a steam-powered airplane, out of which, a 39-feet helicopter made in 1878 flew in the air for a few seconds and proved that the invention of a helicopter is possible. But all these helicopters ran on steam engines, the stability of which was a big challenge. But then came the year 1903, when the Wright brothers innovated the airplane with flat wings and left behind the scientists working on helicopters. But one problem with the airplane was that it required a very long runway to fly it. But in the imagination of the scientists, the helicopter was capable of flying while standing at one place. Therefore, they continued working on this aerial vehicle. In the beginning of the 20th century, many inventions of the helicopter failed. You can see the footage of them on the screen. Such as this helicopter that tries to fly by moving its wings just like a bird. This helicopter that flies with a jerk by moving a rotary wing up and down with the help of a piston. Or this helicopter with these wings that rotate vertically instead of horizontally. And what's more, scientists even tried to make a helicopter by attaching wings to an air balloon. But instead of going up, it would go sideways and crash. But then came the year 1907 when scientists made a helicopter called Gyroplane No. 1. This was the world's first main helicopter, which the pilot flew in the air for a full 1 minute. However, this helicopter also had shortcomings, so it was diving in the air. In the same year, French engineer Paul Cornu made a helicopter that could stay in the air for about 30 seconds. And you will be surprised to know that Paul had used bicycle wheels in this helicopter, and in this, he used a fuel-powered internal combustion engine instead of a steam engine. This helicopter also flew with the pilots up to a height of 1 foot. That is why many scientists consider Paul Cornu as the father of the helicopter. But it took 30 years of struggle and many failures to make a perfect helicopter. Here on the screen you are seeing rare footage of a two-winged helicopter of 1920, a large air balloon helicopter of 1922 and a four-winged helicopter of 1921. All of these had the same problem. They were not able to remain stable in the air. In this way, almost 3 decades had passed since the invention of the airplane. There were dozens of failed trials of the helicopter, but then on the 14th of September 1939, the world's first helicopter was made, which was made by Russian scientist Igor Sikorsky. He named this helicopter VS-300 and it took its first flight in the city of Stratford, America. Although this flight was of just a few minutes, Sikorsky, who had been working on helicopters for the last 40 years, understood that he had got success in making this flying bed. Then Sikorsky made many changes in this helicopter for the next several months. The rotor blades attached to its center were bent at a slight angle. Support rotor blades were installed at the back. A cabin for the pilot to sit was built in it, and on the 13th of May 1940, this helicopter made several successful flights. After the success of this helicopter, Seiko Ruski made the R-4 helicopter, which was the first helicopter in the world that could take off and land vertically, i.e. in a completely straight direction. The bird could turn in any direction in the air and could even move in a full circle while staying at one place. With this, Seiko Ruski also got the title of the father of the helicopter, i.e. inventor. So friends, this was the time when the world was in the grip of the Second World War. The attacks of dictator Hitler were becoming heavy on countries like America and the Soviet Union. In such a situation, the American military immediately ordered Gore Seiko Ruski to mass-produce this helicopter so that it could be used during the war. In this way, during the Second World War, Sikorsky's company made more than 400 different helicopters for the Air Force, which were used by the United States Air Force for relief and rescue operations and search for lost people. Although there were many upgrades in the design of the helicopter even after this, but today's helicopters are also based on the basic design of Sikorsky's helicopter. Modern helicopters can cover long distances up to 2,000 kilometers. Their top speed has reached 500 kilometers per hour, and the largest helicopter can lift a weight of 56 tons. Now the question arises that how do helicopters fly? So there are many technical things behind this. But in simple language, you must have seen two main big fans in the center of the helicopter, and there are small wings on their tail. Now the main big wings in them are slanted and rotate very fast with the help of the engine, due to which the air around them starts moving away rapidly, and this is where Newton's third law of motion comes in. Yes, which says that any action has an equal and opposite reaction. That is, there is a reaction to every action. The same rule works on the blades of a helicopter. When this blade pushes the air downwards, the air pushes the wings upwards with the same speed and force, due to which the helicopter rises up and starts flying in the air. Whereas the job of the tail wing of the helicopter is to maintain the balance of the helicopter and to help it rotate in the air and take turns. Now we have understood how helicopters fly, but which aerial vehicle is better between a helicopter and an airplane? So the answer to this is of course the helicopter, for which there is not one but many reasons. For example, suppose you are traveling in a helicopter and due to some reason its engine stops. Then it will not crash directly, but its rotor will help it land slowly on the ground because it will not stop rotating immediately along with the engine. But such a facility is not available in an airplane. Therefore, the chances of people surviving in a helicopter crash are very high, and it is considered safer than an airplane. Apart from this, the biggest feature of helicopters is that they can easily turn in any direction and can also stay at the same place if needed, because an airplane has to take a big turn to change its direction. On the other hand, for the takeoff and landing of a helicopter, only a plain place, i.e. helipad, is required, and we can land it on a road, field, forest, building, or anywhere. Whereas a long runway is required for the takeoff and landing of an airplane. This is why helicopters are used to cover short distances in urban areas, rescue missions, cargo delivery, and even to extinguish fires in cities and forests in emergency situations. Finally, the question comes that when did the first helicopter come to India? So let us tell you that after the British left the country, the government and some selected people had their own airplanes. For example, Prime Minister Nehru traveled a long distance in an airplane to campaign for the first election of the country. But the first helicopter in the country came to Mumbai on the 19th of March 1954, 7 years after independence, and this helicopter also belonged to the company of Igor Sikorsky, the inventor of this aircraft, and was named Sikorsky S-55. It was imported by the Indian Air Force, and Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru also traveled in it. This helicopter is still kept safe in the Museum of the Indian Army. So friends, do you like to travel in a helicopter or an airplane, and how was your experience of your first air travel? Tell us in the comments. If you liked this video, then like and share it, and make sure to get 11,000 likes. And to watch such interesting videos from our channel, subscribe to our channel. Make sure to ring the bell nearby. Jai Hind, Jai.